Silicon Valley is this very loose place where everybody does what they want to do, and so they get more innovation, more crazy innovative ideas out of that. But they also get much less agreement, when there's a bad situation, what the right behavior is.
Yeah, I agree, because when you look at history after the Meiji era or after World War II, once the Japanese people understood the shock, we went straight forward. Yeah. So do you think we need kind of a third shock for us to innovate and change?
So I don't think the country culture you can. I mean, it fulfills these purposes. Very, whether it's an earthquake or a typhoon or whatever, and people are very happy, I think, about the fact that everybody knows what to do, during a disaster and so forth. Right? What you can change are smaller settings, right? So your behavior, if you go to a symphony concert, Beethoven, but your behavior when you go to karaoke is completely different, right? Or the baseball stadium, and so and those are behaviors. We agree that when we go to Beethoven, we sit quiet.
Very touching.
Well, even Americans like this.
Yes,
I mean, the world does. The world does. Beethoven has the authority over us somehow. So even tight cultures have these outlets like karaoke. But basically, what I'm getting at here is that behaviors differ by setting, and so companies have behaviors, right? And so the behaviors at Rakuten or Recruit are very different from some JTC company, some Showa company. People behave, they dress differently, they speak to each other in different ways. If you think of culture as behaviors, then you can actually. It's very difficult. It's very hard to do, but that's actually my next research project. So
speaking about changing culture, about garbage. When I see Japanese people go abroad, they just become loose.
Yes.
They don't even take off the plastic label of the PET bottles, and they just throw it away.
Absolutely, because there's actually some research on why this is. So when we go someplace, we try to fit in. So we look around, what are these other people doing? And then we do the exact same thing. And if you were to step in an elevator and everybody is looking, hasn't their back to the door, you will do that too, right? Because you think they know something you don't, and because that's so, you can actually change behaviors. And so what these companies are studying are trying to do is change how employees think about the company and their role in the company, their behaviors and how they interact with each other. And by the way, that takes a long time. It's a lot of work. So it won't take a while to see this, but definitely you can use this mechanism that people try to fit in and say, well, maybe it's okay without a tie, or maybe it's okay, with whatever the next wave is, working from home. Maybe it's okay, and these things slowly, one by one, change the way people behave in the workplace, and that can be guided towards, okay, how can we be more effective in competition, or how can we be more effective in innovation, and that's.
Do you think the Japanese society is turning to a more youth culture? Because when you look at Rakuten, they're using English as the official language. Yeah. They become more diverse, and maybe in the future there'll be more immigrants in the Japanese society. Do you think people will become more loose?
I think they will be more loose. I think the people who work at Rakuten are very loose when they're at Rakuten. But when they go home,
they're
still going to separate the garbage.
That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, because they want to fit in, and they want to contribute to society, and the garbage is separated.
So they all agree. Yeah.
Well, we do that every day. We go to karaoke, we go we're different people than we are right now. And when we're at the workplace, we're different than what we are at home. And when we're in the subway, we have the manamud and all of that. Yeah, and then when we go And so we do this all day long. And that's why when we go abroad, like we've seen guys in Tokyo going like this on the phone, right? It takes about a week for them, so the subway and they're noisy, they've just arrived. But after about 7 days, they're toning down. And when Japanese go abroad, they've actually done studies that if the street you're on is very clean, you're much less likely to litter than when you're in a dirty street. When you're in a dirty street, it's already dirty. Yeah. But if this, no, this is clean. I'm not going to drop it. Yeah, we take cues. It's called social proofing. We take cues from the people around us, and then we try to do the same. And so when Japanese go to Silicon Valley, they're suddenly in this loose culture, and many companies do this now. That they take their employees to Silicon Valley and spend 2 weeks, breathe it in.
Become loose.
Yeah, breathe it in. And then when you acclimated, let's do some thought exercises on how we can change our company. So I've called that innovation tourism, which is a little bit mean, but I think actually it's a very good thing. That if you bring enough, if a traditional Japanese company bring enough people to Silicon Valley, just a little bit, to plant a seed of what it could be, then they can change the culture here, maybe.
So finally, I would like to talk about Anzen Daichi Meiyaku, which is a very interesting concept you mentioned in your book.
Yeah, so that's part of this tight story, right? So when I first came to Japan, I hitchhiked around and I couldn't speak a lot of Japanese at the time. There was a lot of construction because Japan was growing fast.
Yes.
And I saw this green cross with Anzen Daichi. And I thought, this must be the national motto. Right? Because it's everywhere. And, there's a nenotam is a similar expression, right? So let's just make sure. And it's part of this type, behavior around danger, which comes from the aspects of it. In a company, that's potentially a problem because if everybody's doing Anzen Daichi, then you never get any risk takers.
No innovation.
So I've spent quite some time in large Japanese organizations, and so I've observed 3 types of behavior in large companies. Always be polite. Be appropriate, which means, so polite is sort of kind of nice. That's a characteristic. And be appropriate, which means fit in. So don't dye your hair green or something like that. And don't cause a meiwaku. Which means don't do things that inconvenience others.
Does meiwaku translate into English?
Yeah, I mean inconvenience is what, but it really it's a bother. Don't rock the boat. We would say don't rock the boat, right? Don't cause any waves. Just go with the flow, and and so if you look at that and agree with that there could never be any change, right? But if everybody's always polite, appropriate, and doesn't cause a meiwaku, then there is never any change. So happily, I think you can actually get away with doing 2 out of 3. So if you're very polite and very appropriate, you can actually rock the boat. Right? And so that's what the reformers are doing.
Being polite, but also at the same time rocking the boat.
And that works because we actually don't like perfect people. People don't like perfect people. We like people that have a little bit of a flaw. So you could actually get away with, not green hair, but you work in a large company and you decide that you want to, not wear nice shoes or comfortable with this because of concern. That's a violation of the dress code, right? But you're otherwise very polite and you never rock the boat. You can get away with it. And so the reformers can play this, and they can either speak out of order at a meeting if they're otherwise appropriate and don't rock the boat, or so they can be impolite, or they can be very kind and polite and actually do something that brings about change. So there's hope that even within the tight setting of Japan, definitely change is possible. It just is a different process from a loose place.
So 2 out of 3 is like a magic number.
I think that's what I observe.
That's true because a lot of the reformers in Japan in politics and business, they wear a tie, they're polite, but their ideas are crazy.
Yeah.
And people listen to.
That's right. We like that, right?
We like that.
And it's acceptable because they're only doing one. You know, the opposite of this is the yakuza, right? they do all three. They're impolite, they're urusai, and they rock the boat. It's like, we don't like it.
We don't like
it.
it.
Sorry, kawaii.
Like some person wears a tie, being polite, we listen to them.
Yeah, and then they can say, okay, stop it. This is silly, let's stop this, right? And so you get some ministers or some bureaucrats that actually do that. So my favorite smoke in those days was a fellow named Mainu Umi. But he was still skinny, like 100 kilograms. And Mainu Umi came to be known as Wazanori Kato, the department store of techniques. If they want to win against these very large players, including from China, they have to go on a diet. They have to become fast and nimble, and they have to become the Wazanori Kato. So, which I call aggregate niche strategy, but it's